Ric Bucher's joining us, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Let's bring him in, Fox Sports NBA analyst. Does it feel like to you, with the story surfacing now today, Rick, that this thing could potentially unravel? I mean, they don't even report until July 8th. That's 3.5 weeks from today.
I don't know that it's going to unravel because the financial impact on both the players and the league is so great that you have to come back and play. You have to come back and play in some form or fashion. Now, did they bring too many teams back? Yeah, I believe that they did. And I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but they orchestrated this so that you could get Zion Williamson back because he's such a draw. Has anybody seen Zion Williamson? I want to know what kind of shape he's in. How much of Zion Williamson are we actually going to see when we see everybody back? But the reality of it is that if they had not come back and played and they didn't get a certain number of games in, that the owners would have gone back to the drawing board and said, if we're not playing, we are taking such a financial hit, and our salary cap mechanism for next season is so problematic because so many teams will be technically over the cap or paying the luxury tax. We're going to have to tear up the collective bargaining agreement and start over. And nobody wanted to see that happen because that honestly would put next season in jeopardy. This is always the problem, though, when it comes to players not feeling like their voice is heard. Since I've been covering the league, this has been a problem with the rank and file. The Kawhi Leonards and the LeBron Jameses and maybe even the Chris Pauls, they all want to play because they have something to play for. They have a championship to get out of this. The vast majority of the players are now looking at it going, I'm going to come back. I got to spend a month to get back in shape. I'm going to play 8, 9, maybe 12, 15 games. And then I'm done, and I'm going to be sequestered for 2 months for all of that. The reality of that is starting to hurt, to hit. But the truth of the matter is, the other side of it is that we would see a brand new collective bargaining agreement, and the players would probably take a harsher.
Yes.
There would be a harsher impact for them if that happened than whatever they have to endure for a couple months.
Yeah, no, if there's a new CBA with the cap coming down and revenues coming down, that is not good for the players. Let's just talk specifically about LeBron James. When I saw that story this morning that players are unhappy, my first thing is, well, is LeBron happy? Because, and I felt this with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had an incredible close relationship with the late Commissioner David Stern. He did matter more. He changed marketing. He changed ratings. He changed net worth of franchise owners. Do we still believe that LeBron is all in?
I do believe that he looks at this and says, I don't know what next year holds. Like, can I get another championship? This is an opportunity for me to be able to do that. So I do believe that initially he looked at all the reasons why this was going to be difficult and it was going to be more challenging. Well, it is. I talked to an assistant coach on one of the teams that has a chance at winning the championship this year. And he said, the mental challenge is going to be the biggest part of this. Whoever is the mentally toughest team is ultimately going to get this done. And I believe that LeBron thinks, you know what, when it comes to being able to overcome the mental challenge, I've got as good a chance as anybody else. I want to go ahead and get this done. It's the rest of the guys who are looking at it saying, tell me again why I'm coming back to do this, because I don't see the return. Only if you have a shot at winning a championship is there a reason that you would be all in for making this happen.
You know, it was interesting. Daryl Morey this week kind of took a shot at the media, and he said, I don't think the media is fair with James Harden. And, James Harden, I think most people, he treats the media well. Kawhi doesn't talk to us. Kevin Durant's prickly. Westbrook yells at us, and we're fine with them. It is interesting, though, that this is the second or third time that Daryl Morey has felt it necessary to defend James Harden, which is more interesting to me than the actual defense of James Harden. Right. Why does he feel a need to defend him? Is Harden unhappy? I mean, why does he feel the need to speak on his behalf? That, to me, is the real question.
So, because if you look at all of the moves that Daryl has made, Daryl has constantly tried to reconstitute this team to give James Harden an opportunity to win a championship. And let's face it, it has been interesting, but they've never been the team to beat. And where they are financially now is they're stuck. They're not going to be able to add pieces. They're going to have to remove a few. And so I understand why he's making that argument. This going all the way back to why Oklahoma City traded James Harden in the first place. Number one, he didn't want to be there and didn't want to be the third wheel behind Russell and Kevin. But the other part of it was that Sam Presti looked at it and said, if we don't win a championship, I need to have the requisite assets to be able to go to Kevin and Russell and say, but we can still add something. We can still get better. What do we need to add to this equation to make us better? They got draft picks. They got young players. There was always the hope that they could be better. When you look at the Rockets right now, where they are financially and where they are with their talent, there are no up-and-coming young players. There's no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that you can say, hey, you know what? He's not quite there, but he'll be even better next year. There's hope for the future. Financially, they're going to have to get rid of a key piece. They may even have to move Russell Westbrook. So that's where I think Daryl is anticipating, you know what? We didn't get there, and we're not going up the mountain. We're coming back down.
Yeah. Ric Bucher is joining us. As I look at this 22-team format, I do think it's too many teams. Do you think there's any chance over the next week? Adam Silver, he embraced gambling. He listens to players. It's a player-run league. Is there just a chance that he'd go, you know what? I'm watching everybody go back to college. I have mostly 25 to 30-year-old males. We're going to play in Orlando, Dallas, L.A. That there is a chance that he would just say, our players are unhappy. Like a lot of them, 40 and 50. This is unraveling. Even 50% chance that you would have a season, but he would literally on a dime change it and break it up to appease players.
No chance, as long as he feels there's a health risk involved. That there's still the uncertainty of how does the virus spread? Can we keep everybody safe? I mean, that is first and foremost because, and I posited this question the other day, what's worse? That Major League Baseball never comes back or the NBA comes back and then has to stop and shut it down because they've had some sort of an outbreak or they had enough guys that contracted the virus where they had to quarantine them, and it just disrupted the proceedings enough so that you didn't think it was a legitimate playoff scenario. I don't know, but that's the number one thing now that they've said we're coming back and playing is that Adam has to make certain that the pandemic does not intrude upon the continuation of this season. And until he feels comfortable enough that can't happen, he's going to maintain this. Now, can we get to a point where we get past the training camp and we get into the regular season where we are a month from now and he loosens the restrictions in terms of going in and out of the bubble? Yes, I could see that. And I could see that would ultimately relieve players enough to say, okay, we can continue with this. Right. But I can't see a situation where he says, we're going to go back to the drawing board or we're going to have multiple places or we're going to change it dramatically because, as he has said, and I believe he's being truthful, the health of the players, and more important, not allowing the pandemic to force them to a full stop is his number one priority.
Ric Bucher, good seeing you, bud. Have a good weekend. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.